Hello bookworms, welcome to another video. Today I am going to be reviewing Misery by Stephen King. It was suggested to me by a friend. This year I'm doing a challenge, 12 books recommended by 12 friends. And Misery was recommended to me by my friend Frances, who will be extremely excited that I gave her a little shout out in my video, even though I'm not really all that famous. But it's still fun when you get stuff like that, right? I don't have a physical copy of the book. I borrowed it from my digital library from the Kindale Library here in Stephenville, Newfoundland. The library, even though the library where I live, obviously you can only get physical books there, but the digital library is available all across the province. And if you want a book from any of the libraries in the province, you can request it and it will be mailed to your local library and you can get a copy. I'm pretty sure my library has a physical copy of Misery, but I was at home and I didn't want to drive to the library, so I just went on my phone, on my app, and downloaded a digital copy of Misery. Now, Stephen King is quite popular, quite famous. Everyone has heard of Misery and may have read the book and seen the movie. I know it is an older book. I think it was written in like 85 or something like that. So don't judge that I've never read it before. I have read Stephen King books before. I've read The Green Mile, I've read Under the Dome, and I think it's called Eye of the Dragon. All of them I enjoyed very much. None of them are his usual horror. I guess Under the Dome is kind of suspense, but not really. And The Green Mile is obviously kind of suspenseful, but it's more of, well, everyone knows what The Green Mile is. It's about those guys in the jail, because there's a movie about that too, which is also amazing. Right after I read the book, Misery, we watched the movie that night, and of course my opinion is the book is better. The book is always better, in my opinion. Very rarely is the movie better than the book. They usually leave a lot of stuff out, and it's always, it's detrimental in my own point to watch it right after I've read the book, because I find you see every little detail that they miss every single time you watch the movie directly after reading the book. It sort of ruins the movie to a point, because you notice everything that they've missed or changed. My husband had to sit there listening to me the whole time. That's not how they did it in the book. This is what they did in the book. That's not how it happened in the book. Oh, that's exactly how it happened in the book. Or that's the same as the book. Whatever. He's used to it. It's almost our 20-year anniversary is this year, so yeah, he's completely used to me doing this. Feel sorry for him or not. Again, he's used to it. But anyway, the book, my review, for those of you who don't know, Misery is about, I don't have a back of a book. I usually read the synopsis, which I don't have because I don't have a physical copy, and I never bothered to look it up online to have it on my screen to read it for you guys. But it is about an author, Paul Sheldon, who is in a car accident and found by his biggest fan, Annie Wilkes. And she is an ex-nurse, and she looks after him. She's also a psychopath. And things happen. Bad things happen. She discovers things with he writes, his most famous books are a series of romance novels, and the main character is called Misery. It's her first name, Misery. I'm gonna butcher her last name, like Charmaine or something like that. But anyway, he does something stupid, and she doesn't like it. Yeah, and it's suspenseful. The whole book, because if you read the movie, you know there's other characters, but in the book, it is only the two of them, and then a few people, like the cops that come to the house, and like a news crew, stuff like that. But in general, the only characters are Annie and Paul, the whole book. It is very, very descriptive, and in some points I found it a little overly descriptive, like he was using it to fill space to make the book longer. Now, don't get me wrong, Stephen King is a genius in his writing, but I feel like this one could have, the whole story, like, it could have been a little shorter. There was way too much description, in my opinion. And this is coming from someone who has actually read other Stephen King books, and I do like his stuff. I'm just not into the horror suspense stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, and I read it pretty fast. In a few days, I had it done as a 500-page book, so average size. I didn't find any serious plot holes. Things that I thought might be plot holes, and then he filled them in, so they worked out good. There was no major plot holes. A lot of things I found kind of predictable, but that would be because I know of his writing style and the types of books he writes. So there's certain things I knew were going to happen if I didn't know exactly how it was going to happen. The end, I was in the air with how he was going to end it. Spoiler alert, if you've never read it, I'm going to talk about the ending. So skip ahead a minute or two if you don't want to hear the exact ending. But I was unsure if he was going to kill off just Paul and Annie get away with it, kill off both of them, or he escapes and Annie dies, or he escapes and Annie escapes. Because, to be honest, it's Stephen King, and it was one of his earlier books, and he would kill off main characters, especially in those kind of situations. So I was happy and satisfied with the ending. He wrapped it up really good. He had it under control. The descriptions were really good. Obviously quite in depth to a point where sometimes it was a little over the top. Although I found it lacked, because it wasn't in first person, it was in third person. All from Paul's point of view, but still in third person. There's very little description of Paul. All of Annie and the house and stuff like that. Like, I could picture the house perfectly in my head and picture Annie. I couldn't really picture Paul. Like, he doesn't even mention the clothes that he's wearing, not once. That, like, Annie put him in her ex-husband's clothes or anything like that. Or a nightshirt, or he just lived in his old clothes the whole time he was there. Nothing at all about Paul. So I found that kind of weird. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. Wow, I've been saying that a lot. I mean, it is a review. It's supposed to be my opinion, right? Anyway, I would rate it 3 out of 5 stars. It's a good book. It's excellent writing. Of course, it's Stephen King. He's very famous, very popular. It's not that I hate his style. I wasn't really into it, per se. The characters are likable, and you can see the character development and their growth and their change. But to me, nothing really stood out in the book. It's not a super exciting book. But I guess if you're into that suspense and stuff, there's an element of suspense where you want to know what's going to happen, but all that much doesn't really happen. So it's kind of a letdown in the long run. I didn't find it to be a huge page turner. If I had to put it down for something to do something else, I'd be fine with not having to pick it up again until the next day. Like, it didn't bother me. I liked it. I didn't hate it. I liked it. I will not be rereading it, and I will not be buying a copy. No offense, Stephen King, because I do own Under the Dome, and I think I own The Green Mile. If I do, it's not here. It's in the other half of my books that are in boxes at my mother's house in Ontario. which I will eventually be adding to my library. They will eventually get here with the rest of my stuff, and you will see them when they get added to the library as time goes on and my videos go on and whatnot. But anyway, go ahead and read it if you're into suspense. It's a good book. I personally will not be reading it again, but if you're into that, I'm sure you would enjoy it greatly. And that's it. Have a wonderful day, and yeah, have a wonderful day.